welcome back to another edition of the Quarantine Files, brought to you by the Good Brothers here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, with the one, the only, the sorcerer of all knowledge, the Good Brother himself, Alex Mercado.
Howdy, howdy.
How's it going, Good Brother? How's your holiday?
It's going great. Holiday was great. Football was terrible, but the food was great.
You know what else has been great, Good Brother? This year. 2020 has just been awesome. Hasn't this just not been the greatest year of all time?
It sucks because on a personal level, it's been one of the best years of my entire life.
Same here. I got engaged.
It's really hard, right? Like your career, career-wise, health-wise, physically-wise, life-wise. Like it's really been a great year. And I always tell people, like I've been open about it, that I think the break for me mentally was a good way of like, okay, this is what I do want in life. This is what I don't want in life. And this is who I want to be. And I think you did the same. So it's always kind of interesting when people say that. And I'm like, no, 2020 will be better, but I had a great year.
Same here. And that's why on this episode, we want to acknowledge Thanksgiving just came. The holiday season is right around the corner. We're in the midst of the holiday season, I guess. So with that in mind, Good Brother, you had the wonderful idea of talking about the content that we loved in 2020. So this is going to be kind of a fast speed episode. We're going to talk about what we love, what made you think about this, and what did you have in mind when you came up with this idea for this episode of the Quarantine Files?
So normally when we get to December, it's a little easy to go with lists of Christmas movies or holiday movies, or what are you anticipating? What did you like movie-wise? We had to take a little curve on that because there wasn't enough movies to really make a list. We could have. I think we'd be reaching at the 5, 4, and 3 spot. So I thought, okay, what about content-wise? Like, TV was better than ever. Video games were better than ever. There was some good movies. We were in the theaters for 2 months to start the year.
Yeah.
And we just saw the last 2 months a resurgence of these Oscar movies on Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, and Start.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So I think it would be better if we just said, hey, what were your 5 favorite things entertainment-wise of the year?
And you can hear some of the reviews that the Good Brother has done on these subjects on the archives, wherever you get your favorite podcast, at Mercado Airwaves. Just check out the Good Brothers proper. But with that, I have my list. The Good Brother has his list. We haven't seen it, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go from 5 to 1. We haven't done a Quarantine Files in a few weeks, so for those of you who are new, check out the archives. If you're a recurring customer, when it comes to the knowledge that we feed you and we deliver, we love you and thank you for joining us. Let's start off. We'll go with number 5. Good Brother, I will start off this time around. Sports in the pandemic. Complicated issue, but in a pandemic, we crowned a World Series champion.
Yep.
An NBA Finals champion.
LA basically did, yes.
A Stanley Cup champion, a WNBA champion, and the NFL in all its mightiest is going to make sure that we get a Super Bowl champion into next year. We had a wonderful Super Bowl earlier on in this year. A lot of UFC cards, some of the biggest UFC cards of all time. Everything being equal. While in the perfect world, nobody would have had worked for a month, everybody would have got paid, and the world would have gone back to normal in 6 weeks. The world that we live in right now, we had sports. In a world where we didn't have a lot of things, we had that. So I got to say, to start off my list, sports in the pandemic.
I'm not going to give out sports credit.
I understand. I'm not going to, and this is why I didn't say MLB, NBA specifically. NBA and NHL and WNBA deserve legitimate credit for what they did. More NBA and the NHL and the WNBA because they literally took care of business. With the NFL, college football have done, really makes me sick to my stomach.
Especially college football.
Yes.
At least NFL, like, let her getting paid.
But in the spirit of this conversation, having sports, professional sports in the pandemic, very important, I think, for the mental health of this country. What do you got?
I have Tenet. Tenet was my favorite movie of the year. John David Washington is a future Hall of Famer, future star. Robert Pattinson kills it.
Future Batman.
I loved being in the theater for this. I loved watching this. It reminds me of why the cinema will never die, in my opinion, and why, we need it more than ever, I think, when things clear up. So, yeah, I guess kind of like yours, it's controversial because it was a movie that didn't need to be seen in theaters. I think so. Did we expect it to make more money? I didn't think so. I think it wasn't the movie to put out there to make money, but I loved it, and I can't wait now that it's coming out on Blu-ray this week. I can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's a good one. I actually really hope they re-release it in theater and that we could go have a Friday go check it out.
It's going to be so packed next year in movies.
I'm excited for that. Good. Hopefully it's a safe pack, just like stadiums and sports and all that.
I mean, I think by August we're back in theaters.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what I have at number 4, good brother, of content that I loved in 2020? The Boneyard match at WrestleMania.
That's a good one. Honorable mention.
So for me, I have this one because it obviously has The Undertaker, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. To me, when we got that WrestleMania night, when it was a 2-night split, and you have two guys like AJ and Undertaker, what people have so many opinions about on social media, but for half an hour, they gave us some of the most entertaining things we've ever seen in that genre.
Yep.
We saw wonderful cinematography, wonderful acting, wonderful, I guess you would just say, physical acting, like stunt work.
Yeah.
On top of wrestling.
No, it was fantastic.
The Boneyard match to me was amazing.
It was easily one of the 3 best things we got in wrestling this year. Probably the best thing, not match wise.
So that's why I have it at number 4.
I like that. It's a good pick. It was my honorable mention. My number 4, I'm sticking with movies. Trial of Chicago 7.
Great.
This is up there. I guess Oscar-wise, this would be my favorite movie. I think Tenet entertainment-wise is. But this was, from day one when the trailer came out, I'm like, this is going to be an Oscar favorite. And I told you then, I watched them, like, it is still going to be it. And if we do get an Oscars, the early predictions are it's probably going to take home a lot of nominations. Eddie Raymond, Sacha Baron Cohen. It was Aaron Sorkin directing. I love Aaron Sorkin. I went on a huge Aaron Sorkin trip going forward. I love that type of writing. I love the way that he directs conversation. It's fantastic. And I can't gush about it enough. I think this is one of those movies where you got it on Netflix for free. It's a fantastic movie. And it's a message I need to talk about, especially this year, where let's not even think about race necessarily. Let's think about protest in general. The definition of what's a peaceful protest compared to a non-peaceful protest. And I think we saw from the beginning of this year till now, that line being blurred. So I think it's a good lesson to look back and be like, where is the line? Is that the cops' fault? Where is it the protest fault? Is it what they're protesting? Is it where they're protesting?
Yeah, and it was highly recommended by the Good Brother. So check that out in the archives. You can see it as the Good Brother reviewed the Trial of the Chicago 7. At number 3, Good Brother, I have Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, buddy.
Love the game. I told you, as sometimes people make fun of us because we're so sentimental about every little thing. But honestly, seeing the Puerto Rican flag the first minute you put up that game, listening to Spanish music, him talking to his mom in Spanish, just the neighborhood, the convenience store, everything about it. Like, he ends every conversation with Mrs. Morales with te quiero mucho. Yeah. So, like, he's constantly speaking Spanish. I love it.
I do not be ashamed of that. It's not our fault that, I'm sorry if you... Good for you if you grew up not having to be sentimental because you saw yourself everywhere. That's cool. Like, good for you. That wasn't our life. That's not a lot of people's life. So, yeah, people are sentimental for a reason.
Wonderful video game. Wonderful story. Wonderful graphics. The intricacies. The little detail. If you play Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 with proper Peter Parker, he webs and swings like Peter. What Insomniac did with Miles, they put so much TLC in this character, including the way he swings, the fact that he's more loosey-goosey, his arms are flailing everywhere. The story is fantastic. They put their own twist to it. I love it. Highly recommend it. Good Brother, what do you have at number 3?
So, going off yours earlier, I have The Bubble, because I believe it was the only one to do it proper. I think they basically, the WNBA and NBA bubble, I think they reinvented, the way they reinvented the sport so quickly, so proper. And not only that, but we had some of the best basketball we've ever seen. Did you competitive basketball? And I think for someone like our family's we're Bulls fans, so we have to be big basketball fans in this family. It got me excited. There was something you were excited to go home on a Friday night and be like, man, we got so many games tonight. Like, It was everywhere. It almost had a vibe of March Madness mixed with the pros, mixed with just really solid, like, backyard basketball.
Yeah, and Damian Lillard was talking about it. He said that because they were all rested for a few weeks, that everybody was just guns a-blazing when they got down there. 100% agree with you.
So good.
We saw so many superstars be created down there. So many new names. I love
Jimmy B, baby.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler, but like go down the list. Tyler Hero, Donovan Mitchell. You obviously have Devin Booker.
Lakers take home a trophy for Kobe, man. Yeah, good story.
Luka. It just, there's so many guys they became stars down there. So I think I agree with you. The bubble, the WNBA did a wonderful job. Not a lot of people are paying attention to them, but they did a great job getting through to their finals. And then,
very socially active too. They don't get enough credit,
especially in the middle of everything that happened. So yeah, good point.
And I give the NBA credit because they do give a lot of credit credit to the WNBA about like they were definitely the leaders in that charge that the NBA took eventually. But they do get credit for the important people, I would say.
Check out Maya Moore's story. She helped a wrongly convicted man get out of jail, and guess what? They're engaged. Oh. So wonderful stuff. At number 2, good brother, this one was really tough between number 1 and number 2. You already know where I'm going with it, so no need to really drag it along. At number 2, The Mandalorian.
So our 2 and 1 are going to be different. Okay.
So at number 2, what did you have at number 2?
The Boys.
At number 1, I have The Boys. At number 1, you have
Mandalorian.
So let's not even. We don't. That's what we have listed. Let's talk about what we loved about them this year. Let's start off with The Mandalorian. So let's start off with The Boys because that finished.
Yes.
What I loved about it is they weren't afraid to continue going there. Whatever that limit is, they went there. They pushed it. The writing was brilliant. The chemistry of the cast was amazing. The storyline was awesome. And they did what is so hard for a lot of different television programs and movies. While they answered a bunch of questions, they then set us up for a bunch of other ones. And I love that about this season.
We've talked about it from day one with The Boys, and now we see Mandalorian do it, where there's good shows that you see kind of fizzle up by 2 and 3 because that's just their lifespan, and that's okay. Most of the CW shows kind of started that way. The Daredevils, good shows, really solid. I like that show. But then you have your Hall of Famers, your Better Call Sauls, your Breaking Bads, your Sopranos, your The Wires, your Game of Thrones, Mad Men, where you're in the process of watching history. You're seeing, man, not only are they breaking barriers, not only are they putting some of the best content we've ever seen, they're setting us up for even more and more and more. You never felt full, but you were satisfied. And you wanted more. And that's the best feeling you can do in a season 2. Because season 2 is the slump season. Yeah. If you don't have a good season 2, you might be done at season 3 or 4. Or if you have it good, you build yourself for a perfect 5 or 6 season, which I think Mandalorian is doing now. And it's just Star Wars, so I'm always going to gush about Star Wars. That's why it's number 1. But the way The Boys did it, it was must-watch TV. Yep. We have 2 series this year. We usually get none in years. We had 2 this year, and we still have it going on. I think Amazon, I love the way they release episodes. I think they almost have it perfect. Like, I'm trying to debate if I do want weekly, but I do love when they gave us 2 episodes and then weekly. I do love that. Or no, it was 3 episodes.
3 episodes start.
So I do like that because I do like a bit of binging with my weekly, okay, let's go. Then you like, oh, we're going to get that the season early arc. Uh-oh, the Butcher's back. And then we get the rest of the series. But Star Wars, that has my heart.
I mean, from Baby Yoda to
say his name.
Grogu, from obviously the Bulldog, so Butcher's Bulldog. Mm-hmm. So like, I love. It was everything. The humor worked. The action worked. Both these shows.
They're spinning off series. Like, these shows are so good. We're getting so many spin-off these shows.
And let's talk a little bit now about The Mandalorian. What I loved about it, though, is what we get from the Western side of it, the sci-fi of it, the fantasy of it, the father-son kinship, the community that you build, the characters that you build, the universe that you're building. Mandalorian has done something that Star Wars has not been able to do for a long time, and that is make adults and kids' imagination run wild. While The Boys makes you think, what else are they going to do? How more crazy can they get? What is going to happen if they bring my favorite actor into the show? What are they going to do to him? The Mandalorian is, what are they going to do to my Star Wars universe that makes it so much better than it is now? Every Friday, it makes our Star Wars universe better. The Mandalorian is underrated on how much it means to the growth of that universe in Star Wars. That's why to me, they're interchangeable, but
I'm glad you brought it up. Like, do you have any honorable mentions? The fact that Supernatural ending didn't make your list shows how fake of a fan you are.
No, it literally is. It's Supernatural ending, obviously.
I saw the ending. I watched it.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I'm sure it was. Tiger King.
Oh, Tiger King was so much fun.
Tiger King
didn't make my list because you just reminded me what a long year it's been. Man, that was entertaining.
But the reason I brought it up is because it was the one thing in the beginning of the pandemic that everybody kind of claimed to.
Well, this was the beginning when we're like, our government will take care of us. Mm-hmm. We'll shut down for a little, support local business, curbside pickup, wear your mask. Just don't leave the house for a couple weeks. We didn't know, Mike.
No, we
were ignorant. We were innocent. Mm-hmm. We didn't see it. We didn't know. We didn't listen.
What do you have? Any last honorable mentions?
The Five Bloods. Yes. Almost made my list, but here's my issue. I love Spike Lee. I think Black Klansman is some of the best I've seen him do. Love it.
Won an Oscar.
Exactly. I think the problem with the Five Bloods is 20 minutes too long, and Spike Lee has the time limit. And I think if you reach, I think where BlacKkKlansman ends, you're like, man, I felt that.
He got close.
Man, the Five Bloods really gets to that point of like, man, this was 25 minutes too long. Like, if you would have ended 20 minutes ago, I would have felt the same way. So that's why. R.I.P. Chadwick, though. He does a great job in that film. The Way Back, Ben Affleck. Yes, love that one. Yeah. Sonic was a great one. And a sentimental one being finally inaugurated and put into the fantasy football league. I've grown up in this league as an accountant. I've grown up as a side GM. Yeah. I've gone up as a manager. I've done a lot. I've been a picker years before, and I finally got the call up to both leagues. I finally made it to the pros, people, and no offense, I'm killing it. I am bringing our family joy. I am doing better than Mike in both leagues, better than our uncle in both leagues. I am the head of the table. And did I not beat you and our uncle both this year?
At number 5, I have sports in the pandemic the Good Brother has.
Tenet.
At number 4, I have the Boneyard match at WrestleMania the Good Brother has.
Trial of Chicago 7 on Netflix.
On number 3, I have Spider-Man, Miles Morales, the Good Brother has.
The WNBA NBA bubble.
And at number 2, I have the Mandalorian, the Good Brother had.
The Boys.
And at number 1, I have the Boys, the Good Brother had.
Mandalorian.
Which means we were both correct, which means you are correct for watching these shows and listening to us on this edition of the Quarantine Files, brought to you by the Good Brothers here on Mercado Airwaves. For the Good Brother himself, Alex Mercado.
Adios.
I'm the Good Brother, Mike Mercado. We'll see you on the next episode of the Quarantine Files, brought to you by the Good Brothers here on the Mercado Airwaves
Network.